Und zwar habe ich hier ein Video. Das interessiert mich sehr, das Thema, weil ich bin im Thema AI sehr drinnen. Dieses Tattoo, der Astronaut hier, ist von Midjourney designt. Und ich interessiere mich generell sehr viel für das Thema aktuell. Ich habe mir der AI auch Aktien schon gekauft. Und deswegen ist das hier ein sehr, sehr spannendes Video. Making an AI OnlyFans with Computer Science.
Neil deGrasse Tyson is most famous for saying that it's the curious people who change the world. However, what has often gone under the radar is another profound quote from him, which is, "I love AI-generated Asian girls." So today we're going to be fulfilling this by making an AI-generated OnlyFans. We're going to be making an AI-generated model, girlfriend, idol, whatever you want to call it, where you can input any text description and the AI will generate a picture of just that. These are actually getting really popular on Twitter.
Bin gespannt, wie er das macht, ob er da einen Rig mit, also ob er Stable Diffusion halt mit ganz vielen Inspo-Fotos füttert und dann halt mit Midjourney rausgeneriert oder was er für Tools verwendet. Bin ich gespannt.
And other sites. There's both girl and guy versions of this. And yeah, they make a lot of money. But yeah, today we're going to be making it and also just explaining how all of it works. So, let's head right in. So the core of making all of this work is something called Stable Diffusion. It's an algorithm
Chat, hört zu, listen, ich kenne das alles schon.
that is able to turn text into generated images. We're gonna be going through all the explanation stuff later, but first, let's just try out what Stable Diffusion can do.
Schreibt mir mal jetzt in den Chat bzw. in die Kommentare, was für eine Erfahrung habt ihr bisher mit AI? Habt ihr euch damit auseinandergesetzt und wenn ja, inwiefern? Habt ihr Sachen ausprobiert? Habt ihr irgendwas gekauft? Habt ihr, keine Ahnung, was weiß ich was gemacht? Würde mich interessieren, wie weit ihr da so advanced seid. So, ChatGPT ist the surface. So, das hier oben ist ChatGPT. Das hier ist ChatGPT. Und dieses Video ist irgendwo hier, würde ich sagen. So, there's a lot more.
Here we have the vanilla Stable Diffusion code.
ChatGPT studiert für mich. Meine Freundin studiert ja auch. ChatGPT ist auch eine große Hilfe. Die studiert Lehramt, Englisch und Psychologie. Die muss jetzt gerade ein Praktikum machen und in einem Gymnasium muss sie praktisch Unterrichtsstunden machen. Also sie muss einfach ganz normal halt Englischunterricht machen, ja. Sie erstellt ihre Unterrichtsstunden mit ChatGPT einfach. So Fill-in-the-blank-Sachen oder sowas, wenn du so für recht Anfang Englisch oder sowas so eine Exercise hast, wo irgendwie so ein Gap ist und du musst das richtige Wort einsetzen, so vokabelmäßig, ja. ChatGPT generiert dir das so. Mit dem richtigen Prompt ist es in 2 Sekunden dann. Komplette Unterrichtsstunde einfach. Ist krank.
Anything. Like, what do you want to see? Let's try dog on the beach. Okay. Now let's try sculpture in France. Alright, seems pretty good to me. And now let's try rocks in the ocean. And yeah.
Das Gestörteste, was jetzt kommt, generell meiner Meinung nach, sind Dreambooth, Firefly und gerade was, also ich sehe schon draußen, das war schon länger angehypt, aber die Photoshop AI. Photoshop AI hat literally mit dem, was sie jetzt machen, glaube ich, ein komplettes Jobfield gekillt. Einfach so. Ab dem Zeitpunkt, wo alle Leute das verwenden können, dann. Produktfotografen, keine Ahnung, alles weg. Einfach gefickt. Das ist komplett gestört. Und Firefly wird Video-Editing breaken. Komplett. Firefly ist so krank.
Those are rocks in the ocean if I've ever seen them. But who cares? Let's make some money. Okay, so let's try this out right here. Yo, what the hell is this? I mean, why does she have boogers coming out? So this is obviously not gonna cut it. So let's try a prompt from online. God.
Ja.
Damn. So this is not working right now because we're using the wrong data set. We're using a generic one right now, like one that's based on real life stuff, but we need a data set that's more trained for what we're trying to make. So let's use a model trained on a more fitting data set and try it again.
Nailed it.
Damn. We can also try other stuff like outside in a winter coat, inside in the living room next to a fireplace, and lastly, anime beach episode.
So, die Frage relativiert sich selbst, aber wer zahlt für sowas? Ja.
Right now, but I'm not gonna lie, sometimes the faces don't look that realistic.
Ich habe, by the way, wegen sowas gerade, ich habe ein spannendes AI-Ding gesehen. Und zwar, ich weiß nicht, ob das mittlerweile regulated wurde oder nicht. Genau, es gibt eine AI, die Kleidung entfernt. Und ich habe da, ich weiß nicht, wo ich das gesehen habe, ob ich das auf Instagram gesehen habe oder auf TikTok, ich bin mir nicht sicher. Aber da hat ich glaube in Amerika eine Frau einen Dude verklagt, der ist auf ihr Instagram gegangen, hat ihre Fotos gespeichert, hat die dann, ich glaube in Stable Diffusion reingeballert, mit so einem Model, das halt die Kleidung removed. Und scheinbar sah sie nackt, was das generiert hat, so accurately aus, wie sie wirklich nackt aussieht, dass sie den einfach verklagt hat.
So the missing piece to fix this is something called a LoRa. These are additional trained models, which we're gonna be covering how that works.
Ich finde ihn so geil. Er steht einfach vor einem Greenscreen mit einem fucking Stand-Mic in der Hand. Was ist das, Junge? Und er ist also so eine Lines-Bitte, der rappt einfach so. Ich kann nicht. Ich muss gerade.
Like for example, here we have the model in an art style. But for our case, we're going to be using LoRa's trained on AI-generated faces, and the end result is that the face is a lot more realistic. But yeah, with all of this, I would say that we're at about 80% of the AI girl image generation capabilities, and you don't believe me? Roll the intro.
Das. Oh, in was für einer Welt leben wir?
Dude, what are you even watching right now? Anyways, now you need to learn. Machine learning exactly. Well, it's actually not that different than how a kid learns. You ask them a question like, what is this? And they come up with an answer based on what their brain tells them is most likely. If they're right, we'll reward them, and if they're wrong, we'll punish them, and they'll improve for next time. But how does the brain or a computer even make a guess on what something is? Well, we can think of it like this. Let's say you're trying to tell the difference between a gold party balloon and a tree. So a kid or a computer can think, how green is it, to differentiate it. As we can see here, this is a one-dimensional space because there's only one axis, but we can
Erklärt jetzt gerade, wie AI lernt.
tell the difference between the gold party balloon.
AMK, wieso kriege ich eine DM auf Twitch von dem OnlyFans-Bot? Das ist sicher von dem Typen da. Hot Asian girls in your area want to fuck. Und dann kriegst du solche Bilder.
And the tree. But now let's make it a green balloon and a tree. Now we can't differentiate them based on our one axis, so we need another variable which can be roundness. Now we're up to 2 dimensions and we're pretty good because we can tell the difference between the two. But with more data, there could be a tree that's round and a balloon that's not. So in this case, our brain or the machine learning model will have to add another factor, maybe let's say shininess, as balloons usually have a shiny spot and trees don't.
Und wenn er jetzt so einen Würfel draus baut, dann sind wir in Interstellar im Tesseract. Ist wirklich so.
Now as we can see, we're at a 3-dimensional space, and with just these 3 dimensions, a kid and a computer can determine trees from balloons pretty well. But now let's say for differentiating a ton of different images and objects, we're gonna need more variables. When training an AI model, we're asking it a question and telling it if it's right or wrong. Each time, there's a ton of variables within the model that will be tweaked in order to help it improve on the task next time. And how it does this is with a process called gradient descent. Basically what it does is it uses a math equation called an objective function that will change the internal numbers in the right direction to make a more accurate guess next time. All these variables create a space that has way more than 3 dimensions, and the human brain can't even picture a space with this many dimensions. With this, a trained AI model can describe what's in any picture based on its previous training. And yeah, that's pretty much how machine learning works. But now we want to generate images, right? And all of this depends on something called stable diffusion. It's an algorithm that can turn a picture full of noise into an HD image of whatever you describe in text. So how can we do this? First, we have to train our model. Let's start with like an image of a dog. Then let's add a bit of random noise to it 10 times. So we have an image of a dog and we add some noise and then we add some noise until we end up with an image that just looks like pure static. And now the big idea here is to train the AI to be able to remove all of this noise to get back to the image of the dog. So at each time step, we're gonna be asking our
Ich find's absurd und es ist eh schon, dass sowas erklärt wird und wie das funktioniert, ja. Aber was noch viel absurder an der Scheiße ist, dass Leute die Idee hatten, dieses Ding überhaupt zu erschaffen und das gemacht haben. Das blowt mein fucking mind, wie man das macht.
Our model to predict the noise added and then tell it if it was right or wrong with the correct noise. Each time, the model is going to train its multi-dimensional space, as we talked about before, in order to get better each time. And if you train it for long enough on a ton of images, it's going to get super good at guessing the noise added at each state. Okay, now this part is actually pretty cool. If the AI can guess the noise
Das ist literally alle clean 150 plus IQ. So, das ist unfassbar.
added at each state, then it can take out that noise in order to get back the original image. This is exactly what we're gonna do, and it's called sampling. Now, let's say the AI is trying to produce an image of the same dog that looks like this. We'll give the AI
Wie kommt man drauf, dass man eine AI so trainiert? Mit fucking Stages of Static Noise. Ich check das nicht. Es geht nicht in meinem Kopf ran.
a completely noisy image and predict the noise of one time step. We're gonna subtract that noise from our image.
Wer
And we're
überlegt
still
sich
gonna have a
sowas?
super noisy image, but it's a little bit less noisy. Like maybe there's an outline of a dog now. It's also not going to be perfect because it's a prediction. So what the algorithm does is add back a little bit of noise and then feeds it back into our AI. We just keep doing this over and over again, and if you can imagine, each time more noise is being removed than added.
Ja, klar, es ist eine lange Entwicklung und es ist nicht von jetzt auf gleich so. Das ist mir schon bewusst, Jerome. Aber halt trotzdem, was mich am meisten fasziniert ist, ich habe das ja vorher schon ein bisschen mitverfolgt. Ich habe schon diese Google-Sachen damals 2019 und sowas, was AI-stützt sein sollte und alles so ein bisschen mitverfolgt. Und man hat es auch immer irgendwo mal wieder gelesen, bla 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 bla. Long story short, ich finde es krass, dass das so lange im Hintergrund alles entstanden ist und gemacht wurde. Und über AI wurde nichts geredet, nichts berichtet. Und heute, batz, in your face, jeden Tag neues AI-Tool, Medien reden drüber, Regulierungen sollen kommen, bla bla bla. Das ist unfassbar. Das ist so krank, wie das zur Schau stellt, wie mediendriven unsere Gesellschaft ist. Wenn nicht jeder drüber redet, dann existiert es nicht. Das ist so insane.
Added at each step. So eventually, it's gonna get closer and closer to the dog until it's the actual image of the dog. Okay, but right now the AI still doesn't know what kind of image to make.
Niemand hat drüber geredet? Über Nvidia AI? Doch, ich hab Nvidia Aktien gekauft wegen AI. Damals schon. Weil ich wusste, dass die mit ihrer Technologie sowas möglich machen können. Aber ja, in der Allgemeinheit hat es niemand interessiert. Jetzt fangen diese ganzen Aktien, ich will kein beleidigendes Wort, ja egal. Die ganzen Aktienleute fangen jetzt an, oder die ganzen Krypto-Leute fangen jetzt an zu sagen, yo, jetzt die Nvidia-Aktie kaufen, das nächste Apple. Und ich denke mir so, bitte, tun Sie das. Ich habe vor 2 Jahren gekauft.
Random images, but that's what the text
Actually vor 3. Yeah.
prompt is for, and this is something called tokenization. For the AI to turn text into an image, it's pretty much the same thing. We first train a model on an insane amount of data of pictures with text embeddings describing the photo. We would need terabytes of training data to do this ourselves, which we don't have, but luckily there's models online that do, and we can use them. One's called Clip, and it's the most famous one, and after all of the training on their dataset, it can turn text prompts like dog on the beach into some values in the multi-dimensional space that would accurately represent a dog on the beach to a computer. And then this information will guide our denoising to get the generated image. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Really, if you just want to remember...
Hopefully that makes sense. Jeder, der noch nie was von AI gehört hat, außer ChatGPT und Snapchat AI, gerade so...
One thing is that we're going from text to images with denoising. Ah, God, what a grind. So right now, our AI model is pretty good, except each time we generate an image, the person looks slightly different. And this is not good because we want our idol to be a single person. So how can we do this? Well, we're gonna have to train our own AI model. As we know, training is based on data. So we need photos of what we're trying to make the model look like. However, we want this to be an AI generated person, right? I feel like if we modeled it after a real person, that'd be just pretty weird. So what we're gonna have to do is use AI to create the AI model. We're gonna use our
habe ich auch schon mal gemacht, sowas.
AI image generation that we have so far, and we're gonna generate 20 photos of people. These people are all gonna look a little bit different, but what we can do is choose 10 of the best looking ones and then train a model on only those 10 photos. And we're gonna use this LoRa to generate another 20 images. The people in these 20 images are still gonna look a little bit different, and we're gonna handpick 10 of the best looking ones, make a LoRa out of that, and feed it back into our AI model. We're just gonna keep doing this, and each time, if you can imagine, the people that are generated are gonna look more and more similar each time until it converges to just looking like the same single person. This is kind of like when people make pasta, they have the dough and they keep feeding it through the pasta maker thing, and they keep repeating this until the dough is ready to be made as pasta.
Was ist das für ein Vergleich? Irgendwelche AI-generierten Asian Girls für OnlyFans mit Pasta.
All of this, our AI now is able to generate the same person in every photo and is now ready for the internet. Don't believe me? Take a look.
我爱你，谢谢你，不管有多么的苦，只要能让你开心，我什么都愿意，这样爱你。
Okay, so first let's make a Twitter, and for all of this information, we can just ask ChatGPT.
Bro, macht gar nichts selbst, gell? Sugar Plum Fairy!
OnlyFans, I actually have some bad news. You need to be human verified, and I submitted my passport for it, and it just didn't get approved, so we're just gonna have to go with Twitter. I know OnlyFans is in the title and everything, but within the first 15 minutes, we got 1 comment already. John says, "You are so blessed and beautiful."
Little did he know. John ist tatsächlich ein AI-generierter Twitter-Account, der unter anderen AI-Projekten kommentiert.
Thank you, John. For the next couple of
John ist Simp AI.
days and weeks, I'm not gonna lie, there was very little traction, so I had to try something like online advertising. And now we're up to 300 followers on Twitter. Most of them just say that you are so beautiful, which is not that surprising. There's a few that are asking to offer some kind of money.
Jesus fuck.
There's also this one guy that commented the most simp stuff ever, and he actually follows me. Eric, my man, DM me. You do not.
Er folgt den YouTube-Kanal von dem Dude? Nein. Ach du Scheiße. Oh mein Gott, stell dir vor, wie der sich in Grund und Boden schämt, wenn das Video online geht. Und er sieht das einfach, weil er dem Typen folgt.
A couple comments asking to meet. Like there's this one comment that says, "Are you in New York City? Can we meet up? You are so pretty." Oh shit, that was me. I got tricked one day by my own OnlyFans. After all of this, our account is still growing, but I would say it's getting a little bit out of control. I'm gonna have to level with you guys here. I simply cannot let my biggest coding achievement be making an AI OnlyFans. So I don't want to get too deep into this, even though I counted and I spent like 300 hours on this. But anyways, I don't want to get too deep into it. So like Picasso setting down his paintbrush for the last time, I'm shutting this down. And here's the last photo of our AI model.
Das ist actually funny. Sie sieht ein bisschen aus wie Rachel, die Koreanerin, wo wir in Seoul waren.
It for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna leave all the code and instructions on how to use the code in the description. You guys can check that out and hopefully learn some CS in the process. Some updates from my life. I finally moved into New York City. It's pretty good. I've been grinding YouTube pretty much every night after work, even though it may not seem.
Ja, okay. Das war hier das Video. Actually, das ist ein richtig cooles Video. I went to this man's house when he was making this video and his entire desktop was pictures of naked girls. Truly a dedicated researcher. You're so nice for pulling the plug before making money off the Sims. Should have made her a Tinder. Oh mein Gott, true. Das wäre echt fun. Holy shit.